let's turn to the Democratic debate because in 2020, because this just been announced literally 3 minutes ago. And this is a big deal, and I'm mad. I'm a little bit mad. But here it is. Democratic debate night 1. Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar, John Delaney, Tulsi Gabbard, Julian Castro, Tim Ryan, Bill de Blasio, Jay Inslee. So it appears that Sanders will be on with Biden on Thursday night. Sanders, Harris, Biden, Buttigieg, Bennett, Marianne Williamson, Swalwell, Gillibrand, and Andrew Yang and Governor Hickenlooper. I mean, I know this is hard to sort of absorb this quickly, but what is your sense of this breakout? And do we know how these were chosen? Well, just tell me. It was random. Like we watched it.
They're saying this was a random selection.
It was a random selection, closed to the press, but keep that list up for me, will you? Closed to the press, but campaign officials were there, so we know that it was legit. I'm
just curious. Like, I'm curious how. Was it not Delaney? What was John, the guy who got booed from Medicare for All? He's Delaney, in the first batch that you mentioned.
Well,
yeah,
this is done randomly. This is done randomly. They took the 20 people who qualified, and then they randomly selected the 2 nights.
Yeah, I'm just curious how in the world this guy qualified. Like who's supporting him enough for him to get the percentage he need to actually qualify? Versus like I know Senator Gravel is an interesting character, but when you put those two side by side, I'm really curious who's supporting the anti. I can't, that guy. All I remember is just how he looks and that he got booed for Medicare for All. You just said his name, Delaney. And I forgot his name again.
Yeah, John Delaney.
So that's the very first thing that comes to mind. But then just how it's divided. I know we have a really big batch, right? But I think by dividing that batch up like this, you really are giving a disadvantage. You're really going to be able to prop up someone in that first batch who shouldn't be propped up. If I don't have that list in front of me, but there can be a star that comes out of that first batch that would not come out of that first batch if you put in Bernie Sanders in that first batch, right? And then you have Bernie Sanders versus Joe Biden. That's the race that everybody wants to see. That's going to kind of be, to me, it's going to be a little sandbagged. Everybody's going to focus on Joe Biden. It might as well just be a 2-man race debate on that other side. But put them all on one stage. You wanted 23 people. We got 23 people. Put them all on the same stage at the same time and just let them fight it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that would have been 23 on one stage. You're not going to hear
chaos.
It'd be chaos and people can hide. My first reaction is this is pretty good for Joe Biden. And I'll tell you why. I mean, if we focus on the top 4 contenders at this point, top 5, right? We're talking Biden, Buttigieg, Sanders, Warren, and Harris, not in that order, obviously. I think the worst case scenario for Biden would have been on stage with Elizabeth Warren, because Elizabeth Warren has shown that she is willing to go at Joe Biden. And she has shown that she can attack him on multiple fronts. She will attack him on women's issues and on banking issues. Now, it's possible Senator Gillibrand will try and bust out of the pack by going after Biden that way, and maybe Senator Sanders was waiting to debate, but I interviewed him yesterday on this program and gave him ample opportunity to
and
say
he
the
wouldn't take
words,
it.
Joe Biden has got it wrong. And it wouldn't
Yeah,
have had to be much. And he studiously avoided doing that. Um, and specifically on the topic of, can you deal with Republicans, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know that there's anybody, I think that Biden is going to feel pretty good about not being with Elizabeth Ryan. With that
oh
said,
yeah,
um, we'll see. I mean, I'm looking at that list to see who is going to go after him, and there's a couple of people who might, but it's hard to know. Um, but it should be interesting. I'm glad at least that Biden is paired with either Sanders or Warren. And I can imagine Pete Buttigieg is going to attempt to sort of like show Biden's age in some way, right? Because Buttigieg, it seems to me, is not too dissimilar in disposition and tone to Biden.
right. That's a good. That's a good. I even if Sanders, as you were saying it, even if Sanders did go after Biden, there's so much baggage that Sanders has. So many people who, particularly establishment supporters and Democrats, they would not accept the criticism. They're less inclined to accept the criticism from Sanders than they would Elizabeth Warren, than they would anyone else. Matter of fact, on that stage. So when you gave me that second batch and it's Biden and Sanders, that to me seems like a golden opportunity for Biden to skate by. Because even no matter how much Bernie Sanders throws at Joe Biden, it's really the left versus as the establishment, and there's still a lot of bad blood there. So there's no amount of good points that I think Sanders could give that would really chip away at the establishment support base of Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think it's really, I'm looking at this list and it's really down to Gillibrand and Harris to see if they will go at Biden with
Mm-hmm.
any type of intensity. And, you know, they may be a little bit concerned about things like being a VP, because they would be, I think, Senator Harris has got to feel like she's on the short list for someone like Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And same with Gillibrand. So I guess we will see what will happen, but those will be the two debates. I mean, give me your sense of what's going on now in the election. We have new polling out from California that has Sanders now in third, basically a tie with Warren, but within the margin of error. But nevertheless, technically third. Joe Biden in the lead, Harris fourth, Warren second. Like I said, Iowa is looking like Joe Biden has lost some strength there. Bernie has lost a little bit more strength there, according to the poll. Warren and Buttigieg are really almost statistically tied with not quite with Sanders, but pretty close. What's your sense of what's happening?
I still have this huge question mark in my head of why Buttigieg is even in the conversation. I really just have credit to his team for making a no-name mayor into someone who's a contender on par almost with Elizabeth Warren, like you said, within the margin of error. But also, a lot of respect for Elizabeth Warren. I think people thought that she would not perform this well. Hell, I really didn't know if she would garner the support that she is starting to garner now. She's ticking up a little bit. I think she's, for lack of a better word right now, she might be the sleeper. She might be the one to really break out. I mean, she has a plan for everything. And we're seeing right now that really is resonating with people. So, if she can survive the question about her Native American heritage, because I'm sure that's going to come up again. I think that's like the one thing that's going to sneak up on her. Maybe not in the primaries. Let's say she got lucky enough to win. That'd definitely be something that Donald Trump would throw at her every single day.
Right.
Which means it probably will come up in the primaries for that exact reason. If she can survive that and she keeps rolling out these plans when there's not a lot of meat on the bones of everyone else's plans, I think she can really, really do well. I also don't know why. I mean, I know the answer, but I'm just amazed at Joe Biden being in being ranked so highly. I mean, I know he's got the establishment behind him, and I know he's got a lot of support because he was Barack Obama's best friend. But at the end of the day, he's really running on the fact that he has no substance and he doesn't have time to give us substance. And he has so much baggage with just his demeanor. He's a very old school politician. He thought it was okay to touch people. That's not the time we're living in. And with the 94 crime bill, I am not sure why he is still there. But I think Joe is going to be Joe. I think we could sit back and give Joe an opportunity to be Joe, just like the photo that came out with him wagging his finger in the face of that young lady.
Right.
Some more, he's going to do it to himself. So I think we just sit back and wait, and the race is going to ultimately be between, I don't know why, but Buttigieg seems like he's going to be a real contender. Harris, Warren, and Sanders. That's if Joe goes ahead and does what Joe does, which is make some ridiculous gaffes along the way.
Well, I will reiterate what I said about a month ago. I anticipate Joe Biden being third in the polls by September. I may September, October-ish. I may have to amend that to fourth. I think he's going to drop at one point, and when he drops, it's going to happen precipitously because his support is built on his supposedly being able to beat Donald Trump, and that's it. And I think there are more and more things about Joe that it's going to make it look like that's not the case. And I think these debates are going to be pretty important in terms of I think these debates are going to be pretty important.
One last thing about that is the fact that I think the way he's going to lose the establishment is by all of this talk of cooperating with Republicans, right? He's really pushing that. I feel like he's overplaying that, and more people, it's just a sense, I don't know the data on it at all, but when you think about the quote unquote resistance and all of the energy that people have put into fighting the back against not only Donald Trump, but the Republican Party, I think he might be overplaying this idea that Democrats want to get back to normal.
I agree with that. I think the polling has shown at the very least that we are at one end of the spectrum for where it's been, and it should be even greater as far as I'm concerned, with Democratic voters wanting to compromise with Republicans because it's clear there is no partner there. It is clear that you cannot compromise with them. And it makes Biden, it seems to me, look like he's out of it. I don't know if I would call them establishment Democrats. I would call them sort of just partisan Democrats who are not ideologically necessarily particularly left, but are partisan. And I think certainly Warren has been taking that posture. Sanders has been taking that posture of fighting against these forces. Sanders a little bit less has been talking about Republicans, it seems to me, but maybe he has. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I think these debates are going to have a lot more impact on the race than we've seen debates have in the past, at least for the Democrats. Ben, maybe we'll have a chance to talk shortly after those debates.
Hey, sounds like a plan. Looking forward to it.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Folks, check out the Benjamin Dixon Show on YouTube. Go subscribe to it right now.
Yes.
All right.
Appreciate that love, Sam.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Take it easy.
Take care, man.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Go subscribe to it right now. So there it is. The list of who's going to be on that debate.
Ooh. I gotta say, I think that there's more support for Bernie out there than the polls are showing. Because aren't the polls usually, they talk to likely voters? And that's a tough thing to predict when you have a candidate who could potentially be bringing in a whole new constituency, particularly of young people who don't always vote.
Yep, possible. Has there been a big change, though, in the it's possible that there are people who are going to support Bernie that have not been counted. But nevertheless, we're also comparing poll to poll. So there's no reason to believe that the polls that showed Bernie with 5-10 more points in Iowa a couple of months ago had counted those people, and this new one doesn't, right? Like, the point is that within those polls,
Well, they're
there's
counting
been a drop.
the likely voters, right?
No, I understand. And my point is that unless the models have changed within the same polling outfit.
Isn't it possible that his support among the traditional likely voters has dropped, but his support among the unlikely voters has gone up, or who's considered to be unlikely voters?
I mean, I suppose. But it's still not a good thing for him to drop under any sector.
Yeah, I don't want this to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know?
Well, with as much as I think that we have some power here, I don't think we have the ability to sway what's going to happen in Iowa. So it's, I'm not too worried about that. I think it's quite possible that the organizing that Sanders has done in terms of Walmart, in terms of McDonald's, in terms of teachers across different states, across the country, it could very well be that from an organizational standpoint, they're going to get more people in the Iowa caucus. Warren basically went all in Iowa. She bet everything on Iowa, which was, we'll be able to tell later as to whether it was a good bet or not, but it appears to have been a good bet. She could not afford to not come in first or second or a close third in Iowa. I think she knows that. But coming in, even coming in second in Iowa, taking some out of Biden, if Biden comes in first, although I don't think he is, frankly, is going to hurt Biden big time. Seems to me Biden has to win Iowa and New Hampshire, or he's going to have real problems. But, and then who knows? I mean, Sanders, Warren, I would enjoy having those two be the last two candidates standing.
Absolutely.
That would be great. But we shall see.